May God bless you and take you home safely.
Mr. President, that we should look at it. We can't continue to look at big money, especially for our people appointed by government. At the time, people can't eat. It creates a kind of we and them in the society. It doesn't make sense. Every Nigerian should show some level of commitment that I'm making a sacrifice, at least for us to come out from where we are today. So we discussed it with Mr. President. We looked at intervention in the health sector as well, because not everyone can afford to travel abroad, to take care of their health. But part of the challenge we had, which we took up with Mr. President, was the issue of the committee put in place. The committee seemed not to be capable. We have, as Labour, we have done negotiation and engagement with government from the time of Ekaete as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, from the time of Kingibe, from the time of Pius Anyim, and the time of Boss Mustafa. That's the list we have had. At no time had the Chief of Staff to the President, who is very busy, been called to negotiate or lead negotiation, because he doesn't have time. Because that is more than a full-time job, if you look at what happens at the presidency, and that has delayed the job there so much. Even after that protest up to now, the meeting has not been reconvened, although Mr. President promised that he is going to restructure the mechanism for which we are engaging with government, so that things could, be treated fast. So we suggest that, or we still plead, that you put your heads together with Mr. President, so that we can have a committee that is meeting. But this is like an emergency. People are still trekking, people are suffering, and we are seen as doing a meeting forever that is not holding, that we don't have mandate. Apart from the Chief of Staff to the President, the next person is an SA to the President on energy. And I don't think that is a full representative of the state, for us to handle this matter. So we have come to you to equally, list this out so that we can facilitate this. I'm not here, if I continue to talk about the issue of VAT, inflation, and all that is happening in this country, I'll be repeating myself, because you know better, as the representatives of the people. No matter what you are paid here, it will not be enough for you to even to give people 5,000 who are suffering, some of your constituents. So those are some of the reasons why we are here, and this thing cannot continue forever. But let me quickly say, sir, that the NLC and others that threatened us in a democracy, yesterday withdrew their threat that a rally is now a strike, that a rally is now being criminalized. And we had equally argued this, in some landmark judgments, especially the one that affected ANPP and Nigerian police. And it was clear that you can't stop Nigerians. In fact, Nigerians don't need police permit to hold their rally. in this country. And I want to plead that we should not allow that to happen, where Nigerians cannot express their freedom of assembling freely, as people of Nigeria, because the court decides to say so. And when the court gave an order and said status quo remains, that it was wrong for another increase to have come up, because that was the cause of the problem, the increase, and one party to obey the issue of status quo remaining, and the other party should not obey it. I think we need to, equally get the courts to stand up, to know that they are Nigerians, for us to equally look at the issue of the law and justice, so that we can carry the two side by side. I'm not sure the judges and the lawyers and Nigerians are not paying the same amount. If some people, by their privilege, some of us that earn better salary, won't because of that now lose sense that there are people that are earning 30,000 naira, and that there's no vehicle that you feed the tank with 30,000 now. And even if you do that with 30,000, it can't last for 1 week. That's the situation we are living in. I don't need to repeat it. Let me stop here for my colleague to continue. Thank you very much for this attention given.
On behalf of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, I wish to say congratulations on your emergence, and also the principal officers, Dr. Beyemi Bamidele and Undume, distinguished Senator Undume, and all the other principal officers, and our mother here. Sir, we thank you for finding time to receive us today. And we also thank distinguished Senator Ali Undume for attending to us on your behalf last week, and for also giving us that assurance that this meeting is going to hold before 1 week. And we were actually looking at our calendar, we were counting until yesterday when we got the invite, yesterday evening, that the meeting is going to hold today. So thank you for your intervention, distinguished Senator and Chief Whip of the Nigerian Senate. I will try to skip some of the things that my colleague has talked about, but maybe for emphasis sake, to just dwell on a few of the items. Distinguished Senator and distinguished President of the Senate, we know clearly the difficulty we have today in Nigeria. Our members are clearly suffering. Nigerians are clearly suffering. Some people trek to work today. I have someone who told me that he comes to work 4 times a week, and that his salary is about 45,000 naira, and that he lives somewhere around Maraba, and that for all the time he comes to work, that 45,000 cannot even pay the transport to work. So it shows clearly that today that Nigerians are suffering. So he said, how does he do it? That he needs to leave his house as early as 5 a.m. and he's going to walk from Maraba. He will walk close down before he will now get a vehicle in order to reduce the transport that he pays to work. So Musa is his name. Musa is just an indication of what Nigerians are passing through today. I think that just as my colleague said, that before now, the modus operandi of labor has been quite different. But we said, okay, the government has told us that they are going to create alternatives. The government told us that they are going to bring about palliatives. We said, okay, let us listen and let us even watch these palliatives and these alternatives. Maybe it could be better. Because the conversation we were having sometime in 2020, we were talking about CNG as alluded to. Let us see how this government could fast track these processes. Yes, we understand that today we have challenges on CNG infrastructures, because the cities where you could deploy CNG as it stands today is somewhere maybe around some places in Lagos, some places in Port Harcourt. I'm not quite sure any state in the north could support that system today. So we understand that clearly. But from that conversation we're having in 2020, there were some presentations that were made by some representatives of government and even some people in the private sector, saying that within 3 months, these are the numbers they will be able to deploy. Within 6 months, these are the numbers they will be able to deploy. So that this could be a partnership between government and the private sector. But since this thing has gone in the last 2 months plus, we have not seen any traction. We have not seen any real sense of urgency to address this issue. We listened to the broadcast of Mr. President, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We listened to his broadcast. And when we had a meeting with him, we also told him that what he said is not far-reaching enough. Yes, we could take that as a baseline. But it is not far-reaching enough, and also the timeline that is also prescribed. Because you want to make intervention, as for this intervention, you are saying that it will come before the second quarter of 2024. How will Nigerians survive before then? So we said as well that, for example, the issue of buses, that we are providing about 3,000 buses for 36 states and FCT, that we felt that it is grossly inadequate. But that 3,000, we can take that as a baseline, but we could do much more. Because Mr. President told the Nigerian public, the citizens, his subjects, that for 2 months, that they have saved 1 trillion naira. So our members have been asking us, if government has saved 1 trillion naira for 2 months, and we are getting close to the end of the 3rd month, it means that by 3 months, it will be 1.5 trillion naira. Why can't we use that money to completely attack this problem and reduce the sufferings of Nigeria? Why can't, for example, we have interaction with the state governors to let them understand that, okay, let us pause our fact sharing. Let us collectively come together and resolve this problem and bring the tension that we are currently facing in the country and reduce the sufferings that Nigerians are currently facing. So if they pause it for 3 months and say, okay, this entire money, because we have had this problem, this subsidy issue for the last 30, 40 years. So the fact that what Labour are saying today, majorly, is palliatives and alternatives. So if we tarry a while for just 3 months to say, okay, all the savings in 3 months, let us put it into area A, area B, area C. I think it will go a long way in assuaging the feelings of Nigerians. Then, Mr. President, sir, he talked about the stream. And they said that before the GCO and NPC. So we believe what they have said. But the fact that we believe them, we are also going to be very pushy. Pengasan, it's an affiliate of TUC. And today I also doubled as the president of Pengasan. So one of the things we have been agitating, and also with Nupeng, that is an affiliate of NLC. So both Pengasan and Nupeng, we have been agitating over the years that fix this refinery, and after fixing it, you bring in the NLNG model in running the refinery. One of the success stories, Mr. President, as you rightly know, that an institution that has been managed very well, that today the Nigerian government, we are reaping dividends year in, year out, has been the NLNG. So what we have been advocating, and we want you to also help us champion this, is that when the refineries are fixed, let us not go back to business as usual. When we fix the refinery, we should look for that is already working, and this model is a workable model that we could bring in. And we were also happy when we saw the committee set up by Mr. President on the energy subcommittee before he was sworn in. So in that committee, when we read the report, they also proposed that the NLNG model should be the way to go. And we are keen in on that. That is the direction and the way to go to make our refinery to continuously work. Because the issues are not just fixing the refineries today, but after fixing them, how do you get it to remain in operation? How do you look? What will be the operation strategy? What is going to be the maintenance culture and the maintenance strategy? How are we going to be sure that tomorrow, when the parts are bad, you have stocks in your warehouse to replace these parts? So this, we think that when we imbibe this, it is going to work, sir. Then, sir, to stress a little bit on the cost of governance, Nigerians today, sir, if you take a sample of what Nigerians think today, Nigerians clearly believe that we are asking you are asking us, you are the political class, you are asking us to keep sacrificing, but we have not seen the palpable sacrifice from both the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. We have not seen that sacrifice. We told this to Mr. President. We told him, for example, that Nigerians are shouting that your convoy, the length of your convoy, it could not, the cost may be so insignificant. We understand. But at times, you do some things to let the people understand that you understand their pains and you understand their feelings. And we also want to thank Senator Gbega Daniel. We saw the letter that he wrote. It was quite instructive, because our members in Ogun State, they forwarded us a letter saying that he's not going to earn any allowance from the state because he's a senator. Because he's joining allowance from the Senate. But today we have a lot of former governors who sit in the Senate, who earn salaries from their states, and they still earn sitting in the Senate. I think if that is correct, those are some of the signals we need to show to the people. Those are some of the optics we need to let the people understand. That yes, we are asking you to tighten your belt. Yes, we are asking you to sacrifice. Yes, you are passing through these sufferings. But these are some of the things we will do on our own to identify with you. Then coming to some of the recent issues that has happened. At times, some things are very necessary. We understand, distinguished senators, some things are necessary for us to do. But the timing of some of the decisions we also make infuriate the people. And when the people put pressure on the leadership, it will be difficult for us to fold our arms and not to act. For example, the issue of the 70 billion, and I will stop here. Let's assume it is clearly, stated in the act, is in the law. It is something we need to do. But at times, if we could have tarried a little while to say, okay, what we can do is let us face the issues affecting the people. We can address this even 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months away. But when we bring issues like that, even if 70 billion is, to use it to fix this edifice may not be something too significant, in quotes. But when it is muddled up with the president of the country saying that they are going to spend 500 billion palliatives on the people will start doing addition and subtraction. So at times, some things may be expedient, but the time of implementation or the time of announcing of such thing may be things we would work around. So I think I will stop here, sir. I think the president of NLC has alluded to lots of this.
Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC to the Senate premises today, and I apologize for the delay in commencement of these deliberations. We completed our screening and confirmation exercises very late yesterday, and we had other engagements today. But when our staff informed us that they had contacted you, that the 7 days ultimatum you gave to us to intervene will expire tomorrow, when the leadership of the Senate met with you, led by the Senate whip and other distinguished senators, we felt that it is better late than never. So please accept our apologies. You just saw the Nigerian Bar Association and other organizations that also had today to see us. But we felt it's exceedingly important that we do everything possible to meet with you. A lot of people have been introduced to you, but the one just walking in now is the minority leader of the Senate, Mr. Simon, distinguished Senator Simon Macron. You're welcome. So the leader of the Senate, the chief whip, the minority leader, my other brothers, the leaders, and the distinguished senators. Here we are with the organized labor in the country, already introduced to you. I want to say that the Senate only makes laws for the proper administration of the country. The Senate also proceeds by way of motions and guides the executive arm of government on issues that are either urgent or germane to the welfare of the Nigerian citizens. The Senate is also very close to the grassroots. The Nigerian legislators, both the House of Representatives and also the senators, including even the houses or assemblies, we are all very close to the people. When the people are happy, we are happy. When the people are sad, we are sad. Our pockets run dry when the economy is dry, because it's we that they will come to for succor more than they will come to you. So we are equally affected. Just like they said, like HIV, they say it's either you are infected or you are affected. If you are infected, all your relations in the house will be affected, trying to take care of you. So the issue is whenever labor is not happy, everybody is affected. I won't go into issue by issue, but I just want to express our appreciation to the organized labor in the country, Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, and all other labor organizations, for your understanding so far and your patience. From a sedentary point of view, we have seen a major determination on the part of labor to assist Nigeria and assist President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to bring this fuel subsidy saga and the continuous subsidy that in one way partially good and partially mostly bad to an end. I have seen that determination on your part, so I must commend you. You are Nigerians. There is no way you can use 96 to 98% of your monthly earnings to service debts. So when the TUC president was speaking, he said that the president said he has saved 1 trillion in his speech, but the president did not tell you how many trillions he inherited as debts. So if somebody has inherited over 35 or 30 or 23 or 25 trillion as debts and he saves 1 trillion, you will know that that goes to no issue. But he was just trying to emphasize that yes, we can do a lot if this thing is gone. We can service our debts, both internal and external debts, and at the same time, we can put the right framework for Nigerians to begin to see the dividends of democracy. Why I said that I have noticed determination on your part is that you did not start by trying to be violent. You need to have a country before you can have strike. You need to have a country before you can go on strike. You need to have a country before you can talk about palliative. This government is barely 2 months old. The president you have today is part and parcel of you. He had the opportunity to also lead strikes and riots, to struggle and suffer for democracy and freedom of speech. He had the opportunity to be a governor and put in place a lot of things. In fact, this independent power plant that we are having in Nigeria today was started by Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos State. Internally generated revenue that Lagos is having today, almost 60 billion. When he took over in 1999 as governor, they had about 600 million only. But he put the right framework in place. And today Lagos gets up to 59 billion or thereabout on a monthly basis. Nigeria has not been able to realize its potentials in terms of generating revenue. And without the revenue being generated, you cannot cater for the welfare of workers and the welfare of citizens. Neither can you even pay your debts, whether internal local debts or foreign debts. So I see something emerging from this interaction, a major partnership between the legislature, the labor unions, and the executive in the country. And I think this will be a great positive omen for the Nigerian worker. I also listened to you, where, again, the TUC secretary, the TUC president, said, why don't we stop this federation account allocation? You want the check? Why don't we? You can see even the Senate is broke. In essence, I believe that the current president inherited a country that is totally broke. I hope I'm making a point. And then, so when you said we should stop FAC for 3 months, pull the money together and do something to ameliorate the sufferings of workers. If you stop FAC for 1 month, it means that your workers will not get salaries. Yes. Recurrent expenses will come to an end. Recurrent expenses will come to an end.
The windfall, sir. The windfall.
The windfall.
Last month the money went up, so that extra.
Does earn you 20,000, and you are already owing over 80,000, and then you say you have a windfall of 10 because you expected 10. You forget that you are owing 80, so you still don't have money. But the reality is that we need to work together to bring the situation to an end. I was almost tempted, bet for the fact that the press is here. I was almost tempted to. I was so excited when I was listening to the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress and then the TUC. You seem to have all the solutions. You enumerated what happened in 2001, what happened in 1999. You even mentioned what you agreed in 1977. So why has the problem lasted till today? You have all the solutions on your fingertips. I think the problem had always been implementation. Am I right? You have all the solutions. President, don't look so despondent. Don't look worried. For me, I was hoping that you are going to meet with the Senate so that we can put our heads together and try to find what solutions to bring to the table. But when you were analyzing the situation we have found ourselves, you went to CNG, you moved from there, you went to modular refineries, you moved from there, you went to illegal refineries, you even said you can legalize the illegal refineries. You went, there's no solution that you don't have. You have all the solutions. So why have we allowed this problem to persist for over 30 years until it got to a point where we're now almost becoming like Nicaragua or Venezuela? You have to keep your ears to the ground on what is happening in other countries, particularly countries that also depend on this hydrocarbon. In many of those countries, people are lining up to get handouts. In many of those countries, people cannot wear wristwatches on the roads. In many of those countries, you can't even see bread to steal. So we can't allow our country to get to that position with over 240 million Nigerians. I always say that the pain of childbirth is always ameliorated whenever the mother, visualizes or sees the first smile of the child. No matter what pain she went through to give birth to that child, the pain will be gone. The government is only 2 months old. You have these ideas. The Senate is going to partner with you to put these ideas together. The Senate will partner with you to put these ideas together. The Senate will be very glad to approach the executive arm of government in partnership with you to see how we can work together to reduce the sufferings of Nigerians. On the issue of 70 billion in the supplementary budget, I think that has been blown out of proportion. What we met on ground was already an act of parliament, an already signed supplementary appropriation act of 2022, not even 2023. 2022. It was Mr. President's idea that how can I raise more money to immediately tackle this, what we have found on ground. The last administration stopped the issue of subsidy in May 2015. So from June or July, there was nothing like subsidy any longer. So you and I, no matter your negotiations, you had agreed that subsidy will go at a point. And subsidy went before we came on board. Before the leadership of the Senate came on board, subsidy had gone. What we are faced with now is how do we tackle the effects of the removal of subsidy, which you agree must go, which every Nigerian knows must go. But we must also find a way to make sure that we can bear the pain until such a time we can cruise. That's why you are here, and that's why we are happy to receive you. And that was why the Chief Whip led a delegation of very powerful senators to come and meet with you. And that's why we are meeting with you within 1 week after that, after your last visit. I started by thanking you for your understanding. I'm pleading with you to bear with this administration that is less than 2 months old, to work together to put Nigeria on a path of progress. Subsidy, if we had left it, subsidy was killing Nigeria. Subsidy was capable of killing Nigeria. Subsidy will eventually have killed Nigeria. You have decided to allow Nigeria to breathe, that subsidy should go. We concur with your decision that Nigerians must breathe. So I thank you so much for coming. The 70 billion was earmarked for, you've seen the structures going on and everything. And then every 4 or 8 years, whenever the furniture in offices of senators and members of the House of Representatives, come to what they call, I don't know what they call in financial terms, is it zero? No, is it the amortized? When it comes to zero value, they normally bought those things, and when they bought them, they tried to replace them. So this time, when this 10th Senate came, and the 10th National Assembly, they had nothing to work with, computers, nothing, even vehicles, nothing. You can't do oversight function with Keke Napep. So that money is not meant for senators. But you can see the mischief of Nigerians and what the social media can do. They turn things around to make it look as if the 70 billion was palliative for senators and House of Rep members. For me, I don't believe in running government on pages of newspapers or on social media. Somebody even used his newspaper to analyze and said, if we divide this by 12 million Nigerians, they will get 41,000. Then if we divide 70 billion by 469 members, they will get 149 million. Nobody mentioned the issue of furniture or the provision of working tools or provision of vehicles, or even the staff of the National Assembly that do not have things to work with in their offices. And the amount needed probably would have been more than that, but because of the circumstances we found ourselves. So they turned it around, and then they started going into the social media, misrepresenting things, and they set up committees on every television channel to discuss. And sometimes I'm sure you are shocked when you see people discussing out of ignorance. I'm sure you get surprised because you know more than they know, but you don't have to say anything. So you need to even know, as I speak now, not even 1 naira of that money has been spent. Not 1 naira of that 70 billion have been released to the management of the National Assembly. But people are still talking on television as if they are sharing palliative to National Assembly. No. No senator is going to touch 1 naira of that money. It will be used for the workings of renovating these premises, offices, and you see 469, including the staff of the National Assembly, including the furnitures, including the provision of working tools, including the provision of television sets and computers and seats and everything. That's what we're seeing, including the provision of working vehicles for oversight function. That is what the 70 billion is all about. You can't elect somebody to come to the National Assembly or the Senate, then you don't give him tools to work. Then you mentioned that the convoys are very long. Now you are saying that if the Senate President, for instance, is going on a condolence visit and senators decide to accompany the Senate President, if 10 senators have their vehicles and they accompany the Senate President, it means that Senate President's convoy plus 10 senators is very long. Am I right? So you would rather prefer that one senator should go from house to house, you go to Gwarimpa, you go to Asokoro, you go to Maitama, and pick senators in their houses so that the NLC will not think that the convoy is long. You make sure that you load them, maybe 3 in front, 4 at the back. Or you lap each other so that the convoy will not be long. So those are pedestrian issues. The main issue is how do we tackle the current security situation in the country, and we also talk about food security. Food security. How do we also tackle the issue of the wage, the salaries, being living wages, and not going for just you fuel a car today and tomorrow and the salary is gone. I faced this when I started my law practice. I was earning 504 naira a month. It couldn't take me home up to 20 days. Talk less of food, not to talk of house. So, but today, our job is to assist you, work closely with you to bring solutions. Illegal refinery should not be legalized. The byproduct of crude production has so many components, which you know, and those things are destroying the ecosystem. Go and take a look at where these boys are, in quotes, refining crude oil, and look at the environment, look at the soil. You can never recover that soil in the next 100 years. Am I right? So if you are going to regulate them, you must also modernize them. You can't allow somebody to bring drum and be boiling crude oil, and then when he pours it on the floor, it destroys the ecosystem, it destroys the soil for the next 50 to 100 years. So you can talk about forming cooperatives, modernizing them, and bringing in modular refineries and then making licenses available for them, but definitely not legalizing the current crude production of crude refining of crude oil. I thank you for coming, and we will tell the press to excuse us so that we go into real issues.
Thank you very much. The President of the Senate, His Excellency did introduce the minority leader when he walked in.